Hello, welcome to book number 9 with Tuck In Tuesday with Mimi. I'm your host, Mimi. Today we're going to be reading a book about Texas. Yes, it is The Legend of the Blue Bonnet. And this is one of my favorites, illustrated by Tommy DePaola. Okay, it's an old tale of Texas. I checked this out at the library. Maybe your parents could take you to the library. They have so many books there that you can check out and you can read on your own, or you can have someone read it to you, like Mimi. So here we start. The Legend of the Blue Bonnet, an old tale of Texas. Great Spirit, the land is dying. Your people are dying too. The long line of dancers sang, "Tell us what we have done to anger you. End this drought. Save your people. Tell us what we must do so you will send the rain that will bring back life." For 3 days, the dancers danced to the sound of the drums. And for 3 days, the people called Comanche watched and waited. So the people are called the Comanches. And even though the hard winter was over, no healing rains. Can you hear the drums in the background? Yeah. Drought and famine are hardest to the very young and the very old. Among the few children left was a small girl named She Who Is Alone. She sat by herself watching the dancers. In her lap was a doll made from buckskin. A warrior doll. The eyes, nose, and mouth were painted on with the juice of berries. It wore beaded leggings and a belt of polished bone. On its head were brilliant blue feathers from the bird who cries, "Jay, Jay, Jay." She loved her doll very much. Soon, She Who Is Alone said to her doll, "The shaman will go off alone to the top of the hill to listen for the words of the great spirits. Then we will know what to do so that once more the rains will come and the earth will be green and alive. The buffalo will be plentiful and the people will be rich again." As she talked, she thought of the mother who made the doll, of the father who brought the blue feathers. She thought of the grandfather and the grandmother she had never known. They were all like shadows. It seemed long ago that they had died from the famine. The people had named her and cared for her. The warrior doll was the only thing she had left from those distant days. "The sun is setting," the runner called as he ran through the camp. "The shaman is returning." The people gathered in a circle, and the shaman spoke. "I have heard the words of the Great Spirit," he said. "The people have become shellfish. For years they have taken from the earth without giving anything back. The Great Spirit say the people must sacrifice. We must make a burnt offering of the most valued possession among us. The ashes of this offering shall then be scattered to the 4 points of the earth, the home of the winds. When this sacrifice is made, drought and famine will cease, will stop. The life will be restored to the earth and to the people." The people sang a song of thanks to the great spirits for telling them what they must do. "I'm sure it is not my new bow that the great spirits want," a warrior said. "Or my special blanket," a woman added, as everyone went to their teepees to talk and think over what the great spirits had asked. Everyone, that is, except She Who Is Alone. She held her doll tightly to her heart. "You," she said, looking at the doll, "you are my valued possession. It is you the Great Spirit wants," and she knew what she must do. As the council fires died out and the teepee flaps began to close, the small girl turned to the teepee where she slept to wait. These are called teepees down here, where she lived. The night outside was still except for the distant sound of the night bird with the red wings. Soon everyone in the teepee was asleep except She Who Was Alone. Under the ashes of the teepee fire, one stick still glowed. She took it and quietly crept out into the night. She ran to the place on the hill where the great spirits had spoken to the shaman. Stars filled the sky, but there was no moon. "O great spirits," she who is alone said, "here is my warrior doll. It is the only thing I have from my family who died in this famine. It is the most valued possession. Please accept it." Then, gathering twigs, she started a fire with the glowing fire stick. The small girl watched as the twigs began to catch and burn. She thought of her grandmother and grandfather, her mother and father, and all the people there suffering their hunger. And before she could change her mind, she thrust the doll into the fire. She watched until the flames died down and the ashes had grown cold. Then, scooping up a handful, she who was alone scattered the ashes to the home of the winds, the north and the east, the south and the west. And there she fell asleep until the first light of the morning sun woke her. She looked out over the hill, and stretching out from all sides where the ashes had fallen, the ground was covered with flowers. Beautiful flowers. As blue as the feathers in the hair of the doll. As blue as the feathers of the bird who cries, "Jay, Jay, Jay." Those are pretty flowers. Yeah. When the people came out of their teepees, they could scarcely believe their eyes. They gathered on the hill with she who was alone to look at the miraculous sight. There was no doubt about it. The flowers were a sign of forgiveness from the great spirits. And as the people sang and danced their thanks to the great spirits, a warm rain began to fall. And the land began to live again. From that day on, the little girl was known by another name, one who dearly loved her people. Look at that little rain. And the blue flowers. Beautiful. And every spring, the great spirits remember the sacrifice of a little girl and fill the hills and valleys of the land now called Texas with the beautiful blue flowers, even to this very day. Look at that. It's beautiful. The end. Yeah. And it says here on the back, the blue bonnet is a form of wild lupine. It is known by other names too, but its the most familiar name is bluebonnet. The lovely blue flowers they saw growing wild were thought to resemble the bonnets worn by many of the women to shield them from the hot Texas sun. All right. The legend of the bluebonnet. All right. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Hit it with a shoe. I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.